It's okay that somebody's like different than you. I don't know, I have like my queer uniform that I'm in, but we are exactly the same. And I think the joy and the power is, what if we can all step outside and away from the intergenerational trauma, and we can do differently than those who came before us?
We love movies about time travel, but not every film needs a tricked-out DeLorean rocketing to 88 miles per hour. In The Queen of My Dreams, writer-director Fawzia Mirza relies instead on a powerhouse performance by Amrit Kaur, who plays both the mid-20s protagonist in 1999 Canada and her similarly aged mother in 1969 Karachi, Pakistan. Exploding with color and sound, the film is a tribute to the Bollywood musicals that the director watched as a child with her immigrant mother. As the story shifts between the parallel tracks of mother and daughter, we see how the seeds of displacement and dislocation can grow into the thorny issue of generational conflict. But we also see how tradition can contain the hope for mutual appreciation and acceptance. Vibrant, emotional, and infused with humor, The Queen of My Dreams is a film that will resonate with anyone who's ever struggled to reconcile where they come from with who they are. Join our conversation with filmmaker Fawzia Mirza on Inside the Art House, starting now.
Hi, my name is Greg Lumley.
And I'm Raphael Sparge.
And welcome to an episode of Inside the Art House. Today we're joined by filmmaker Fawzia Mirza, who's here to talk about your new film, The Queen of My Dreams.
Hi, how are you?
Did I get that all right?
You got it all right.
Okay, awesome.
Excellent. I'm so excited to talk to you. I saw you. You didn't see me at Cannes. You were on a panel, and I was in the audience at the American Pavilion, and you were, I guess, with a lot of notables. But you really, you talked about this film and the making of this film, and it really touched me. And I wonder if you could talk about the inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I love that we saw each other, and I'm feeling a sense of familiarity, so I'm sure I saw you. That room is not massive, and you have a very recognizable smile, a memorable one. I started making short films in 2012. I was an actor, but I didn't think of myself as a filmmaker in 2012. I thought of myself as just trying to reconcile my identities. I was an actor at the time. I was an artist, and I have a lot of big feelings because I'm also a Pisces. And so I was trying to reconcile whether I could be queer, but also be Muslim and also still love Bollywood romance. Talk about big feelings.
Yeah.
And so I was just working out those feelings. And initially this started as an art piece. I was thinking, I'm going to shoot this footage. I'm going to put it up at a gallery. I'm going to have a live performance aspect. But then a filmmaker named Ryan Logan said, Fawzia, I think you have a movie here. And so he helped me, and we were sort of co-directors on this project before I thought of myself as a director, mind you. But he helped me turn it into a movie. And it was a very public conversation about a really private struggle. And making that short film, and not just making it, but also sharing it, really saved my life. It helped me see that I could be all of these things. And sharing it at film festivals, which is how I came up as a filmmaker, was in that really kind of film festival space, helped me see and find a community. Many communities, actually. The first film festival that The Queen of My Dreams short screened at was at the Seattle International Film Festival. I didn't get to go, but then a lot of queer film festivals screened the film. And so places like Outfest, in Los Angeles, Inside Out, and Frameline, all of these gay festivals, they really I got called in to these spaces and then began feeling like I had this community. But because I was an actor at the time, the big dream was to do a one-person show. And because I was living in Chicago, the big dream was to do something in a black box theater, or one day the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah.
And so I began dreaming of developing it into a one-person play. And I worked with an incredible company in Chicago called Catharsis Productions, who helped me kind of develop this spark of an idea and into a longer story. I worked with an incredible director in his own right, Brian Golden, who helped me kind of be the dramaturg on this story. And then I did a one-person play that was in Chicago theaters. I also performed it in a few countries around the world. I performed it in Pakistan, in 3 cities in Pakistan. That was a really life-changing, eye-opening experience for me. And by then, I started making more shorts. I made a feature in Chicago called Signature Move as a writer and actor, co-writer. It was directed by Jennifer Reeder, an incredible, iconic filmmaker. And that was when I started to dream that maybe this play could be a movie. You know, I first started working with a co-writer on it. Then I, found my first producer, Andrea Wilson Mirza, now Mirza, she wasn't my wife at the time. But she was like, I want to help you make this. And so I had many sort of helpers, collaborators along the way to finding the path of not only writing it myself, but also being the director. Because there was a time where I was like, who's going to direct this movie? And it wasn't until 2020 I decided to direct it. And I can talk about that as well, but that's its own journey. And it came to be this feature.
I mean, it's extraordinarily skilled and beautifully told. So it's incredible that it's your first feature. I mean, I know you've done other shorts, but it's quite an accomplishment.
No, but I love that, we had a conversation with someone yesterday also about the interaction between theater and film and this idea of developing the story in front of a live audience, which is sort of the traditional way of doing it. And yet now we live in a world where you begin to develop a relationship with your audience through TikTok or YouTube videos or other things. And you're not, it's just a different reaction and a different relationship.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not, going to be some fuddy-duddy and say we can't, adapt, but that old way still works.
It really does. And I mean, I think if you knowing that, and maybe not knowing, but when you look at the film, I think you can see the influence of theater on my approach. Like, I do love, it's film and theater. I love seeing...
It's not a film play, by the way.
Yeah,
I want to make clear.
Right, not a film play. But you can just see, I love seeing the world. I love production design. I love being able to see full frames. I care about that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the theater just also, I care about rehearsal. Before we can get a rehearsal, before we're on, on the day, that would be amazing. And honestly, for me, the theater experience probably most impacted my directing for the screen in that I came to it as an actor. So I really care about actors. I have a lot of space for actors. I care about their feelings. I care about their experiences. I care about their ideas. I care about what they're going through that day, because it's a lot. And so I ask them questions about them, their process, and what they're thinking about, which I have learned is not as common to all directors, but I'm just happy to be how can we do this together? I'm deeply collaborative.
So Amrit Kaur, who plays the lead character, is luminous in this part.
She is luminous.
And I can't imagine that there was a huge pool of people who could play this. Just the fact that she could go in and out of, Pakistani and also be able to kind of really navigate all the kind of the curves and turns of this.
Yeah, I mean, she really...
And to play the daughter and the mother.
Yeah, to play that, right? I mean,
at different stages.
The unsexy part of the story is we were funded in Canada, and so we were looking for a Canadian South Asian actor who could also do these 2 roles and who could also speak the language. So it is a very small pool of people. And, my first audition with her was through Zoom. And she just shone through the camera. And we're all on a lot of Zooms, and not everybody can do that.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how great your lighting is.
No,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And then we met in person here in LA. We met up in Los Feliz for a coffee, and I could feel an energy, a desire, a will, a commitment to the work that it would take to do this that I just was undeniable. And, it's we were oh, we're going to have to go to Pakistan. And she was yes, before partition, my family was from Pakistan. She's, Sikh, and the Sikh community, pre-partition India, they're from that region of the subcontinent. And so like what a fascinating and beautiful part of this film is that she got to go to her homeland that she maybe would never have gone to before because of the sort of arbitrarily drawn lines by the British of India in 1947. And then she also, after we were done filming, she traveled to these incredible Sikh temples that are in Pakistan outside of Lahore and got to connect with her like roots and her homeland and her lineage in a way that, you know, may never have otherwise happened. So that was really beautiful. I also, you know, she shared with me that she was queer, and that was something that she started to come out with because of making this film in a more public way. So I really feel like there was no other person who could have done this and connected in so many levels than her. Both her performance on screen, but also all the emotions that she was bringing to the experience of making this film.
1,000%. 1,000%. And how was it? Did you get to rehearse? Did you get to do it? You know, did you get to find that time to kind of work with her?
We got to rehearse one-on-one or with the other actors a little bit. What I did really love about also casting her was that, ironically, the first person cast was not either of the incredible women lead roles, was actually Hamza Haq, who is an incredible actor. He plays the dad / husband. And it was because I had met him in a Zoom for another event that was happening. And I loved his vibe, and we had an incredible conversation. I could hear it. And I knew his work. I'd watched his work, but I heard him in the role. He was deeply connected to channeling both his father in the older dad era, but then also he has a daughter. And so he loved this. He was really wanting to play a father to a young girl. And he had great chemistry already with Amrit. And, you know, he was like, you know, he's put in a good word for her. So like that, and I saw some of the work they had done together already. Chemistry is everything. You know, we're seeing a lot of movies now where you don't really have that chemistry. And we know like those classic, incredible movies that we love, those romances, it's chemistry or die, chemistry or death. And so knowing that they also had like kind of this great relationship, working together, they've worked in other theater together as well, that was really important as well, and was not a factor, you know, in casting Amrit.
Let's take a look at the trailer of the film. So give our audiences a chance to see it, which is a terrific trailer, but also get a sense of the style of the film. So here we are with the trailer from The Queen of My Dreams.
अम्मी से बात करनी
तो कैसा चल रहा है तुम्हारा मिफ़ा?
It's an MFA, Mom. It's an acronym. Nobody says it like a word.
I'm not nobody. मैं तुम्हारी माँ हूँ. ये बदतमीज कैसे हो गई वो?
If you want to know what your daughter will be like, उसकी अम्मी को देखो. कराची आ जाओ, मजा आएगा.
हमारी अम्मी रहती थी यहाँ 1969 में.
सब कुछ ही मुख्तलिफ था.
Whoa.
Do you want to get married?
I'm not the one you need to impress.
We're 1969, yeah? I should be able to do whatever I want.
माँ के कदमों तले जन्नत हो. करना चाहते क्या मतलब?
There's going to be a lot of times in your life where you are going to like things that other people don't like.
Could we have some more chai?
You're selfish, cute. You do look just like your mother did.
It's great. It's such a great trailer.
Hindi language cinema, that's what I grew up on. you know, and I loved it. I still love it. Big romance, outlandish in every way. It's like that idea of like those grand gestures, that great love, the ridiculous lengths people will go to, whether it's for love or really anything.
Right, even family relationships.
I appreciate it. I'm like, yes, let's do that, you know? And so when, like I grew up in a small town in Nova Scotia, similar to in the film. That's why the Canadian part of the film is set in Nova Scotia, which is sort of like, you know, Canadian Maine, I call it. Like, there wasn't a lot of access to our culture or our food, our ingredients, et cetera. So my mom used to go to this, she'd drive and go to this grocery store like 5 hours away in the bigger city in Halifax. And she would get all the ingredients we needed to cook and all the food, but also she'd get these movies on VHSs. And like, that was our connection to, it was through food and it was through movies, our connection to home and to language. And so I, you know, that world, that color, that joy is something that I dream about and I crave. And so, you know, that was when I was thinking about this film, you know, there's obviously sad moments, there's depressing moments, there's devastating moments, but like, I feel like these worlds are often so depicted of like, in sadness is gray and gritty, or a small town in Nova Scotia would be gray and gritty. And I was just like, I don't know. That's not what I want to show. I want to show this big, beautiful world. And thinking about these time periods, I wanted them to have color in life, because no matter what we're going through, the worlds still have the color and life.
But there's color, and then there's sort of explosion, vivid, which is what you have. Yeah. It's incredible how vivid it is, and it's and the all of it. I mean, the music, the costumes, the settings, and the transitions. I love the transitions, which feel like a ViewMaster kind of a, which is so cool. How did you get to this style?
It's a really great question. You both talk to so many filmmakers. I'm sure some are like, you know, I blacked out. I don't know. Like,
I woke up and there was a movie. Right?
Yeah, where did I find that? I mean, it's a long process, and I think I really am a deep collaborator, and so the best idea always wins, whether it's on set or in the edit. I will say that. When I thought about starting just with the B-roll in the film, you know, B-roll being, you know, like we're looking at a place and setting a location. So for me, I thought, okay, well, Nova Scotia may not be as familiar to many people, but I know many films that have been shot there, and beautiful films. Yeah. And so I thought, how can I make my B-roll in this movie stand out? Many films have been shot in Karachi as well. I'm not inventing filming in these places. And so how can I make it specific to this movie and my POV? So for me, location is about people. And so I wanted all of those location shots to have people. There's only a couple scenes, a couple pieces of B-roll that don't have people in them in the 80s, and that's very intentional because we're coming off of a really intense moment between mother and daughter. So it's very quiet, and something has changed. And so I wanted people in all of the places, and I feel like the people give us also a sense of who lives there. And so that was important. And then, you know, I wanted it to move. I'm inspired by people like Edgar Wright's filmmaking. I'm inspired by the work of Wes Anderson, who's inspired by Bollywood. And so those kind of movement pieces, those quick cuts, I had in my mind, and I didn't know whether they were going to go right to left to right or up to down. So when we started filming it, those were all filmed practically. My DP did all the directions. And it was in the edit, I decided, like, we did all the degrees, you know?
Oh, you just do it in every direction just to cover yourself?
Up, down, left, right. And it was as I started watching it and seeing it and dreaming about it that it started to come in place, that I think we don't need up and down. I think this is we'll do left to right in the West, and we'll do right to left in the East. And that's also how you read the language. And so it's very subtle. You may not even pick up on it, but that felt, and then it started to just sort of take shape as we were shooting the narrowing down of what this could be. The sound portion of it didn't come into place until the edit. It was like, do we want that sound? Is it too much? But it just felt like we were, as I was looking at what we'd shot and what we had, I was like, oh, the sound feels so, there's so much nostalgia in this movie.
The music is so important.
Music is so important. And the ephemera, like just real media.
Yeah.
You know, how much real media can we evoke? The VHS, the sound of it going in and out of a tape player, the sound of, the
pixelation.
The pixelation, right?
And then how it sort of comes together.
Yes. And like my family did watch like the slideshow in my household. We grew up where my dad would people would come over for dinner, and then we'd watch a slideshow of their time, their not even recent travels, like from the 60s, before my dad even met my mom, in the 70s or the 80s, or like on their trips. And we would just watch a slideshow that we as kids had watched a million times. And it was so beautiful. So I have like a memory of my father is these 35 millimeter slides. So I wanted to evoke that. And then even thinking of bringing in the movie in the movie, Aradhana, this 1969 film. I originally had it only in the film itself as something they were watching on screen. But in the edit, I felt like I wanted something more. And so I ended up going back to my short film of 2012 and trying to remember what was it that I worked in that? What was it that I loved? What was it that sparked so much emotion for me and for audiences? And so I came back to the film. So that helped me rewrite the opening to bring the movie in that. And so if you were to go back and look at this 3-minute short film, which is on the internet, it has some of that connection to it in it, has the old film, and then helped me feel like, oh, I need to draw even more connection to another time, to another place, to another movie, to another mother, to another woman, and lean into that. So it was like a series of inspirations.
So as we go through this journey of time travel, I'm struck at some level by the freedom of the scenes in 1969, and perhaps the more repressive, and maybe that's not the right word, but conservative, traditional environment of 1999. And does it run counter? And frankly, maybe for some audiences, there may be a perception of it even being more traditional now. So do you want to talk about that both in reality and also this in terms of the style of film?
Yeah. When I was thinking about this feature screenplay and writing it, there are many versions of this film that I wrote. There was one version that had Sharmila Tagore. It was like the hours, it was like 3 women, 3 different eras. Sharmila Tagore in 1969, India film cinema world, like Bollywood, like on set. But someone asked me, someone I was working with at the time, and who was reading my script, she was like, what is non-negotiable for you about making this film? And I said it was, I am and was and continue to be fascinated by 1969 Karachi but also like this woman my mother was in photographs. The film is inspired by my life or my mother's life, but also it's a fantasy, right? And so knowing that 1969 was non-negotiable, I was like, we have to tell this story. And also, I have a lot of compassion for like the journey we take as people. I maybe didn't when I wrote the play, but I did when I was writing this film. And it's like, okay, so we're different people. I'm different than I was when I was 18.
Right, we're all changed, yeah.
We're all, and so I was like, okay, well, if I can, and part of the journey of the play was like, what changed for her? And so a thing that I kind of created was maybe what changed for her was when in her real life and my real life, my father had his first heart attack. And maybe she made a promise to God. And maybe she kept that promise and over years changed. And so in the movie, I really try to analyze that without judgment and just think, okay, well, she changed and it's a really valid reason. I don't know what it's like to almost lose my husband and to do whatever it takes for him, whether it's prayer or showing up every day or just being there and talking to him. Like, I don't know what that is like. And so if my wife was sick, like, and she did get sick, like, I did whatever. I did everything just to like pray that she'd be okay. I think that this film, in many ways, is an homage to the path we take, the journey we take. It's different than ours. And maybe we end up being different people. You're not going to change, but I'm not going to change. But maybe there's a way we can reconnect. Right. And so it's definitely like the 60s are the golden age. If you talk to anybody, and whether it's Pakistan or like, you know, Egypt or Lebanon, Beirut, like these cities and countries, there's this nostalgia and romance of the 60s that is so universal. I've always actually wanted, I'm like, there's a doc series to be made called 1969. Right. You know what I mean? And you just see all of these places in this kind of moment. So I wanted to see that world. I wanted to explore it. I've heard so many stories about that place. And then also I wanted to create space for like, it's okay that somebody's like different than you. We don't know what they went through to survive their life, you know, and to be where they're at now. And like, maybe because when I think about my mother, I think about like, yes, she presents the way she does. She wears hijab. She wears like Pakistani clothes every day. She watches like Turkish dramas on YouTube, like that's her jam. I look like this, you know, I have short hair, glasses, like, I don't know, I have like my queer uniform that I'm in, but we are exactly the same, you know, and there's an homage.
Right. Let's find our common.
Let's find our sexy similarities. And I am who I am because of the journey that she took, her mother before. And I think the joy and the power is like Azra does in this film, in The Queen of My Dreams. What if we can all be like Azra and step outside and away from the intergenerational trauma, and we can do differently than those who came before us? Like that is, I think, part of the underlying possibility, the fantasy, the potential, and the power.
Yeah. I find with the fact that the music group is the same in both periods is kind of like, that's the eternal.
Oh, I love that.
I love that. I love that. That shot at the end, and you have him return. It's so wonderful.
I mean, when we think about making it, and I love that you love that, because that for me was like thinking about this sort of, you know, the Qawwali group. Qawwali music is this Sufi kind of devotional music. They're often singing in their own styles, poems that are so old and like ancient by all these incredible poets who have come before. And this music is a portal, whether it's a portal to a relationship to the divine, whether it's a portal to another place, whether it's a portal to oneself. If you read Rumi, you hear about these portals, and you know, music is a portal. And so what if this portal could take us literally, quite literally, to another time and another place, which it emotionally and spiritually does. And so I love the time travel. I definitely think now, I'm like, man, we really just leaned into that. And my producers were just like, sure, Fawzia, let's shoot that. Like the whole team just went with it and trusted that we could execute it. And I feel so blessed that we were able to.
Because it does an interesting thing, because it speaks to sort of the themes of your movie, which is kind of the traditional and the new.
Yes.
And it has, and as Greg was talking about this time travel thing, because you have a foot in both worlds, and it's about 1969, but it's deeper than that. It's all the traditions and you know, your mother's mother's mother, and it has that sense of kind of the contrast between the past and then the emergence of this young, you know, gay woman who's sort of expressing herself because that's the only way she can, and then how they then interact, and it is really true that music really is it's like a bridge.
Well, any kind of thing. I mean, you know, it's an ecstatic sort of expression where we get to this place where we kind of leave our thoughts behind because we're just in this joyous moment, whether we're twirling like the dervishes or whatever. I mean, you know, anyway.
Yes, and that sort of circumambulation, that circling it's also so ancient. I mean, how, creating energy, movement, the dervishes move like the planets, and with that one hand up to like a planet, you know, and it's like that movement, we all do it. And it's so meditative and the repetition of it. So there is a deep dive into the idea of like family, repetition, history. We are unique, but also we're sort of archetypes of those who have come before us.
Right.
And I think for me, that is deeply spiritual and a place that I've come to in my own spiritual journey, like of kind of cracking into ego. Like, sure, Fawzia Mirza, like I am like an individual and I'm so unique, and I am one piece of something that's so much bigger than me. And like, I am not inventing, you know, my film is so referential. I didn't invent it. Like I am being referential to Qawwali music, to all of these great filmmakers who have come before me, like so many different references. You could put, you know, The Farewell and Lady Bird in there. You know what I mean? Like, and yet I'm taking all of that inspiration and delivering it in this way that will then be referential for some, you know, so we are kind of circling and spiraling. And so I just love that as like a way of both filmmaking, but also of like our spiritual path as human beings.
Yeah. I know it premiered at TIFF, and it's won all sorts of awards. It's been at a gajillion festivals now. You are moments from release in theaters, which is fantastic. Talk about why it's important to open in theaters, and or also what this process has been like as a filmmaker to kind of get up and out, as it were, to audiences.
Well, I mean, I will tell you, I have learned more about the business of filmmaking in the last 2 years than maybe I ever wanted to know.
Seeing how the sausage is made.
The sausage is made, and I was like, do I ever want to eat sausage?
It's so good.
Wow, it's so good. I mean, the screen part of the sausage, you know, once the sausage is dressed, she's delicious, you know? In the making of her, you know, I also now know and feel that I can never not know. You can't unknow something.
Right.
And someone said this to me, like, no one will love your movie as much as you. And I was reminded of that in the edit of the film and in the making of the film, and I'm reminded of it in the distribution of the film and in the selling and sharing of the film. And I think it's important for us as filmmakers, especially as like the world changes, Hollywood contracts, distribution models change, distribution models implode, you know, theater going has changed. We should know. We shouldn't just be like, no, I'm an artist only. I think being a great artist is also caring about delivery to the audience. And I care about my audience so deeply. I'm not trying to make this, I wasn't trying to make this movie just for me. I was trying to make this movie for us, you know, and I want us to feel things. I want us to laugh and cry at the same time, which is the best compliment I've ever gotten about the film. Like, I want those feelings, you know, it's like, I care about movies evoking emotion. I care about movies evoking emotion in the theater, you know, and going to the theater, which is why one of the reasons I'm so excited about us having this conversation and sharing this film. I do think that, you know, in terms of, you know, the dream, I think, again, the dream evolves. You know, I joke, but I'm serious, that I think of Hollywood as kind of a pyramid scheme, right? Like, you're like, I made it. And you're like, where have I made it to? I think I'm at a beginning. And so I think knowing that we are always arriving and we are always beginning allows us to never sort of let go of the thread of the work we're doing. And that us participating and pushing it is really key to it landing somewhere and resonating with people and having people take interest in it. And so we had a great world premiere at TIFF. We had a great international premiere at the BFI. We had an incredible screening at South by. And when people aren't sort of like clamoring to buy it, I learned it's you have to remind people what it is. And so part of the theatrical power is not just one, of course, my movie, I made it. It is like full of life. It's full of explosions of many things: color, story, production design, music, theater in this film, but also it's big, wide shots. It is meant to be seen with great sound in 5.1 and on a big screen that allows you to take in all the work that we did at every level of the film.
There's so much depth in each shot.
There's so much depth in the shot. Like, there is stuff happening way in the deep background, you know, and every watch you'll find something new. The theatrical, as I've learned, is something that's so exceptional to lure in our streamers. You know, the more that they see that you have been able to do a theatrical, which is still seen as something so prestigious for an indie film to do.
It is.
I want to lure them in, because I know we have an audience, and we are showing them we have an audience. And it's not just a South Asian audience. It's not just, even though I love you, South Asian, my audience, not just a queer audience, even though I love you, my queer audience, I came up with you. It is mothers, daughters, it's y'all, it's both of you sitting here.
Two white guys, right?
Two white guys,
right.
You know, parents, kids, it's like film lovers.
Yeah, I got parents too. Yeah.
You got parents too. It's art house lovers. It's lovers of music and movies who sort of get those references. And I would, honestly, I'd love someone who's like, I can pick out all your influences and references, you know? So it is also luring in those folks. And it's, you know, it's when we are available for rent and sale, it's also to, like, when we're able to get to all the corners of the country. It's being able to show, to lure, to tell those folks, like, oh yeah, it was in my city, or also maybe it wasn't in my city, but like now I heard it was in a city near me and I couldn't get there, but now I can buy it. Or now I'm going to tell people about it, or now I'm going to write about it. So there's so many layers of what I've learned from the business side of it that matters, that is fascinating to me. And but honestly, I'm so excited that it gets to be on the big screen. And, you know, we've been in conversation for a few months, maybe a year, to kind of make this incredible new collaboration happen with Willa and Product of Culture. And that's me being actively involved and not relying on a sales agent, you know, regardless of who it is and whether they've done a great job. The timing requires filmmakers to be involved in it.
Well, especially at this, I mean, there's a studio level where it's like, okay, here's the film. I'm on to making my next film. I'm sure you guys will market it. But, you know, you are an important part of the team of connecting this film with an audience. And you're going to have to spend a little time wearing that distributor hat.
Yes.
More than a little,
I wear hats now.
But it'll, you know, hopefully help the film connect with an audience.
Yes.
Because you know, at some level who all these people are that really should be seeing the film.
I've been sending out texts. Don't worry, guys. I've been like emailing and calling.
We're coming for you.
Listen, on the drive from the east side to Santa Monica to this morning, I was on calls and I was like, "You're going to do a buyout, right?"
No, but look, I mean, a theatrical engagement is just a series of individual screenings.
I love
and if
it.
you can make each screening a little, not each screening, but if you can make a lot of those screenings extra special because I'm going to be there, or this organization is supporting the screening.
Yes.
Or this restaurant is supporting the screen, you know, and afterwards we're going to go get, you know, some food, or we're going to go dance, or we're going to hear music.
Yes.
All of those kinds of things add up, and hopefully you have the opportunity where you have, you know, time.
Yes.
So that it's not all happening at once.
Yes.
And you can make each of them special.
I love that. And I think it's like, how do we make every screening matter and a moment? And that's something I'm deep in right now. And I honestly, the perverse, whatever it is, maybe it's not perverse, maybe it makes sense with who I am. I love it because I care about community so much, and it's just helping me reconnect to my community in ways that, like, sometimes in this business you get disconnected because you're in the business away. And so this is a great way of bringing the business back home.
Yeah. The film is opening June 20th in New York and Los Angeles. Be spreading out from there, different parts of the country and different parts of the world.
Yes.
Where can people get information?
People can get information on queenofmydreamsmovie.com. And also you can follow our Instagram, The Queen of My Dreams Movie.
I can't wait to follow that.
Yes. Yeah. You can follow me, The Fawz, THEFAWZ. That is my handle. And those are the best places. I'd say focus there and you'll find us.
Okay.
Just to follow what you've just said, we actually have a clip of them going into the theater.
Danny, you won't believe who's getting married. Who? You? What? I know. God, you have to tell me everything.
Wait, so do I get a say?
किस चीज में?
मैं बताती हूँ. Yeah, okay, come, oh no. Sorry. This is my cousin Hassan. Hassan, मेरी best friend Maria.
Hi.
He's unmarried. Just saying.
पहले कभी क्यों नहीं मिले?
एडिनबरा में रहता है. फेलोशिप कर रहा है.
मैं फेलोशिप कर रहा हूँ एडिनबर्ग में.
किस चीज में?
मेडिसिन. I want to be a trauma surgeon.
वाओ, बहुत स्पेसिफिक. क्यों?
मैं तकलीफ कम करना चाहता हूँ. हम सब एक होते थे मगर अब बिखर गए हैं. I want to help put us back together again.
Like Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, like Humpty Dumpty.
Brains run in the family, you know.
और आप?
शायद मैं एयर होस्टेस बन जाऊँ.
Cool. You've been on a plane before?
नहीं, पाकिस्तान से बाहर नहीं गई. मगर जाऊंगी जरूर.
आपकी पहली फ्लाइट पे हम सब साथ चलें?
देखते हैं.
Oh my God.
So sexy.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Hey, did your mother see it?
No, I'll say not yet. I would say that, I think one of the things I've learned is like, we're sometimes always looking for people's approval, and
That was a deep sigh. That spoke volumes.
Sorry. Yes.
And I realized that as much as this is a love letter to mothers.
Yeah.
And I care so much about where I come from and who I am and my mother. And I do think the past is the present is the future. I really believe that. I also have learned that you may never get the approval. And the greatest sort of strength and groundedness that you can be in is knowing that it's okay. It's okay not to get it. And when you're not fighting for it, you never know what may happen. Or if you're not waiting for it, you never know what may happen. And that's part of, I think, the growth.
Yeah. Well, that's, yeah. I mean, is there a version of the story where Azra comes out?
I think, I don't know. I feel like in the years we don't see in the film, I would say she probably had, I think there's a known there of what, left to interpretation of what happened in those 10 years between where we see her at 13 and where we see her at 22 or 23. And so...
Or maybe there's something that happens, life goes on after
life
the film.
Life goes on.
Yeah,
and I think
after we fade out from the film.
100%. And I think
maybe at your husband, her father's funeral was not the right time.
Right, exactly. It's like she has compassion. She's like, I get it. Well, and I think one of the things I love about that in the film too, it's Azra is not perfect, right? She's kind of being annoying at her dad's funeral, being like, me, what about what I want? And it's she just lost her husband too, bro. People are in their stages of mourning. Can't just be about your mourning. And so there's a little bit of that ornery, kid that I feel like I'm channeling and also just projecting an awareness of, yeah, I've been selfish. I probably still can be selfish. And maybe we need to just let things chill and see what happens. And I do think I love an ending that is a beginning. I love an ending that is joyous. And so I feel like there's a bit of a fantasy there too of what if like a parent-child can begin again. I know they can't all begin again. I know it's not safe for them all to begin again, but I fantasize and I dream and I manifest that we can all begin again with our relationships that have turmoil in them and find a place of healing.
Wow. All right. Well,
that's pretty beautiful.
Mic drop.
Right, exactly.
And that's the movie.
And thank you. Good night. Right.
I'm not. Yeah, we're not stepping on that.
I mean, but obviously that was part of the spark. It must have been the spark for this process, this journey of starting with writing it and then a play and then performing it all over the world and then making a short. There's clearly some kind of a yearning towards healing and understanding and sort of being holistic and kind of integrating all those parts.
I mean, I'm very like external in my processing. It's like anything I've made, even before I was directing, you could just feel where I was at in my own kind of evolution as a person. I was like, this is where I'm super uncomfortable and unsure of who I am. Here's where I'm embracing it. Here's where I've decided I can embrace this part. And, making this movie, it definitely impacted like the other scripts I had. I was like, oh, I'm not the same person anymore. I have to, this script has to change. So it's fascinating even to see how this has impacted like my other writing, which is really cool to see. Like we don't hopefully stay static as people.
Right.
We grow, the stories we want to tell grows.
I'm sure this has changed you. I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Sure. And seeing people's response to it and then how that reverberates and how you've affected mothers and daughters and fathers. I mean, all of us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, families. And
it's so beautiful. I mean, and sharing it all over the world. Like, honestly, one of the coolest things, was in London. Paul Feig, who's been a bit of a mentor, came to watch the film. And the fact that he stood up and clapped and was just like, Fawzia, I was so impressed. I was just like, I mean, I'm influenced by Bridesmaids. I'm influenced by his work and Freaks and Geeks. You know what I mean? Like, he's so iconic, and it's him being able to see and relate in this movie about a queer Pakistani Muslim, it's like, that was so cool. And so that I hold on to, and I'm different too now. I just thinking about all the things I was able to do on the film. Like we did stunts and we did time travel and we did some drone work. We did some rigging work.
Big production numbers,
musical numbers, playback with the band and tons of background and the set design. I mean, I don't know what we would have done. The artisans in Pakistan, they were just incredible. The things they built under the direction of our production designer, Michael Pearson, but it was incredible.
Incredible.
So now I'm definitely can you do what they do? You know what I mean? There's a little bit of, but just also being able to work in another place. And, my next movie, even if it's working in a different city, having an understanding of I'm not this is how I do things. I'm very much how do you do things and how can we do the things I need?
How can we do the things the story needs?
The story needs and do it together. That's very exciting to bring to the process.
The collaboration part of this is so thrilling, right?
Yeah. So thrilling. There's nothing. We're always in collaboration. We're in collaboration right now.
Yeah.
On this podcast, and I love it.
The film is The Queen of My Dreams. It's opening June 20th in New York, Los Angeles. You can find it, again, hopefully spreading out to theaters around the country. Thank you so much, Fawzia Mirza, for joining us here on Inside the Art House. Real pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And I'm going to say, if you like today's episode, please subscribe, please like it, and please, most importantly, share it so that we can continue to spread the word about this wonderful film. Yeah. Thank you, Fawzia.
Thank you. What a pleasure. This was so fun.
Our show was produced by Raphael Sparge with on-site producer Norrin Dickerson. Supervising producers are Thomas Cassetta and Miles McCreary. Our show was edited by Gabriel Emley and sound mixed by Thomas Cassetta. Our musical theme was composed by Isabel Engman and Gerardo Garcia Jr. Marketing by Gabriel Emley. Show graphics by Jenna DeAngelis. Additional marketing and web design by Stephanie Peters. Filmed at the historic Laemmle Royal Theater in Los Angeles, California. See you next time on Inside the Art House. If you like today's show, please consider subscribing to our channel to learn more on Inside the Art House.